श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम अखंडानंदसंबोधः वंदनात् यस्य जायते गोविंदं तमहं वंदे चिदानंदतनुं गुरुम्. So yesterday we saw सम्यग् समाधिनिरतैः विमल अंतरंगे साक्षात् अवेक्ष्य निजतत्त्वम् अपारसौख्यं संतुष्यते पारमहंसकुलैः अजस्रम् यद्ब्रह्म तद् त्वमसि केवलबोधमात्रम्. Samyag samadhi nirataihi, nicely established in the, always established in the samadhi. We explain what samadhi here is. The non-dual knowledge, nicely established in that non-dual knowledge. Who? Paramahamsa kulaihi, the people who belong to the family, the group of Paramahamsas, means the sannyasis, the renunciates, the monks. Why? Because some or other relationship, because if you are in a family person, some or other relationship, some or other thing will always pull you out of the focus. So Paramahamsa kulaihi. Okay, now not every monk, every renunciate can be established in that. Why? Because if you want to be established in that, then you need to have a purity of heart, a pure heart. Bimala antarange, one who has a very pure heart. Because otherwise it is udara nimittam bahukruta vesham. All the different kinds of colors of dress is only for the sake of the belly, food, meaning the sense organs. Now, during the Kumbh Mela, if you go to Kumbh Mela, you can see different colors of people, different colors of clothes, and different colors of dramas. I've seen it all. So, nijatatvam, apara saukhyam yadbrahma sakshad avekshya. Nijatatvam, not nijatatvam. Tattva means philosophy or truth. Nija means true. The true philosophy, the true truth. No. Nijatattva means one's own reality, truth, one's own inherent nature. Apara saukhyam, which is limitless bliss. Yadu Brahma, which is the absolute self. Sakshat avekshya, sakshat directly, immediately, avekshya, seeing. Sakshat avekshya means, in other words, sakshat directly means aparoksha, immediate. Avekshya, seeing means anubhuti, experiencing. We have already said knowing is experiencing, seeing is experiencing. There is nothing different here. Okay, so one who knows it immediately as his own self, not as a knowledge which the guru says, what the guru speaks. No, not like that. As his own nature, inherent nature, when he understands, then ajasram santushyate. He is santushyate. He is in bliss. When? Always. At all points of time. So, tad yadu kevalabodhamātram brahma tattvamasi. That which Brahman self, which is of the absolute knowledge state, which is inherent nature of knowledge, that you are. Tattvamasi. You are that absolute bliss, absolute the self, which is of the nature of knowledge. Okay. Now, antarbahiḥ māropitārthavadudañcati mūḍhabuddheḥ mṛtsnādivadvigatavikriyamātmavedyaṃ yadbrahma tattvamasi kevalabodhamātram. Antarbahiḥ swayam akhanditam ekarūpam āropitārthavadudañcati mūḍhabuddheḥ mṛtsnādivadvigatavikriyamātmavedyaṃ yadbrahma tadu tvamasi kevalabodhamātram. Again, antarbahiḥ, internally, externally. So, swayam akhanditam, that which is a khandita means divided, split. Akhanditam means non-split, undivided. Ekarūpam. Why is it undivided? Because it is not divided, because it is of one nature. Ekarūpam means one nature, changeless nature, one form. So that is of one nature, which is non-dual. Khandita means duality. Akhandita means non-duality, which is non-duality, which is inherent nature, which is internally, externally, everywhere. Internally, externally, all that idea is with reference to something. Since there is no duality, there is no split, there is no reference point. Therefore, vigatavikriyam. It does without any activity. In one, where can there be activity? Activity starts only when there is a two, when there is duality. Whether it is a real duality or imagined duality does not really matter. Activity starts only when there is duality. You sit alone, but still you will be Why? Because you are imagining duality in your mind. So whether it is imagined, superimposed, existing duality does not really matter. Only when there is duality, there is a kriya, activity. Since there is no duality, ekarupam, therefore vigata vikriyam, there is no activity also, transactions also. Atmavedyam, which cannot be understood through any other means, that can be understood only through one's own nature. Atmavedyam. Okay. If this is so, how? Yad mūḍhabuddheḥ mṛtsnādivadvigatavikriyamātmavedyaṃ āropitārthavadudañcati. But though this is so, that it is non-dual, one absolute self, for the idiots, mūḍhabuddheḥ, for those who are idiots, mṛtsnādivadvigatavikriyamātmavedyaṃ āropitārthavadudañcati, like the clay, etc., and like the superimposed objects, etc. There is nothing other than clay. A blob of clay, you put a hole inside, then it looks like pot. A blob of clay, a ball of clay, you snap it, then it becomes a plate. So whatever you give it, whenever you give it a form, you give a different name and you see it as different object, not as clay. So like the clay, etc., which is seen, or let us be very practical, the gold and bangles in rings in different forms. But in reality, what do the people who sell the gold ornaments charge? They charge for the gold, not for the design. They charge for the gold. But we start giving, superimposing ideas in that, and we start giving the ideas a brand and imagining the brand as something. Then we give money for the brand, not for the gold, really. Okay, so he says mṛtsnādivadvigatavikriyamātmavedyaṃ, like the clay, etc., where it seem in different forms, āropitārthavadudañcati, or like the superimposed, the imagined objects, udañcati, that which is shining, that which seems to exist. For the idiots, that which is seen in the different forms, like the clay objects, or like the superimposed objects, rope, snake, etc., that yad kevalabodhamātram brahma tattvamasi, that which is of the inherent nature of knowledge, that you are. Okay. Now, śrutyuktamavyayamanantamanādimadhyam avyaktamakṣaramanāśrayamaprameyam ānandasadghanamanāmayamadvitīyaṃ yadbrahma tattvamasi kevalabodhamātram. Again the same thing. Yad kevalabodhamātram brahma tattvamasi, that which is that which is of the inherent nature of knowledge, that you are. Okay. Śrutyuktam avyayam, talking about that Brahman. What is that Brahman? Śrutyuktam avyayam anantam anadimadhyam avyaktam aksharam anāśrayam aprameyam ānandasadghanaṃ anamayam advitīyaṃ. He is giving a different views for the same self, different words for the same self. What is that self? Śrutyuktam, that which is explained by the Shruti. Except for Shruti, you cannot understand the self through anything else. That is the first rule. The second rule, does the Shruti really point out to the self? No. The Shruti also uses it, the implied meaning to refer to the self, not directly. Because later he says, aprameyam, it is not an object. Since it is not an object, prameya, object, it cannot be understood through the pramana, the means of right knowledge. Then is Shruti not the means of right knowledge? Shruti is the only means of right knowledge to understand the self. Because in the Shruti itself, there is a question. The disciple asks the Guru, Tantu Upanishadam Purusham Prachami. I am asking that Purusha, about that self, which is explained in the Upanishads. Upanishadam Purusham, that which is explained in the Upanishad. In all the other places, the means of knowledge or right knowledge, whatever you call, that is a means of knowledge I used because they are not right knowledge actually. Okay, so except for the Shruti, there is no means of right knowledge. Everything is means of knowledge. It's just passing by knowledge, not real knowledge. So the other pramanas can lead you to some state or other, maybe, but it can never give you the knowledge of non-duality. So he says, śrutyuktam. It can be only gained through the Shruti. That should be very clear to avyayam. Navyeti iti avyayam. That which does not undergo any transformation, change. Why it does not undergo any change, any transformation? Because anantam. It is endless. There is no end, limit. Anta, limit, end. So there is no end. Is there a beginning? Because there may be no end, but there may be beginning. There is a possibility. Right? How can that be? Simple. I break the pot. What happens? The pot absence starts. Till when? Till time immemorial. There is no limit. There may be no limit, but there can be a beginning. Why? When you break a pot. But there is no beginning. Anadi. There is no beginning also. Okay, there may be no beginning, there may be no end, but the center, the middle, that should be there. Because the people who speak fancily, Vedanta, fancy Vedanta, they say, oh, the self is absolute, it is all pervading, omnipresent. You are the center point of that self. What center point? Madhyam, amadhyam, there is no center point also. The whole idea of center point in the self is like talking about a center point or a middle number in the infinity. This is how you split the infinity into two halves. Can you do that? That is how stupid talking about center point of the self is. So, anadi, amadhyam, anantam, all the three. There is no beginning, there is no middle, and there is no end. Avyaktam. Why there is no middle, there is no end, etc.? Because it is not vyakta, it is not manifest. Avyaktam, it is unmanifest. Since it is unmanifest, only that which manifests gets destroyed. Since this is unmanifest, aksharam, there is no destruction also. Since it is not destructible, there is a question, where is it established in? Or what is established in this? So for that he says, anashrayam. Neither does it give any substratum to anything else, nor is it residing in some other substratum. There is no association, ashraya, relationship, association. There is no ashraya. Then what is that? Aprameyam. It cannot be objectified. Why? Because anamayam. I have another word, ānandasadghanaṃ. I will keep it aside. We will talk about it later. Anamayam. Because amaya, defect. There is no defects here. Anamayam. It's defectless. Therefore, you cannot objectify it through anything else. But still, defectless, what does that mean? The defect is ignorance. There is no ignorance. Therefore, only through ignorance you are objectifying. When there is no ignorance, can you not objectify? You cannot, because advitiyam, it is non-dual. How can someone objectify non-duality? Because who is the objectifier and which is the objectified? There is no possibility here. Therefore, but what's its nature? Now we bring in ānandasadghanaṃ. Why it could be inserted somewhere in between, right? Why aprameyam? After that, ānandasadghanaṃ. Aprameyam, it is not objectified. Does it not exist then? Is it void? Then you say ānandasadghanaṃ. It is not void. It is of the nature of existence and knowledge, bliss. Ānandasat, bliss and existence. It could be explained there itself. Why did you keep it aside? Because it is of the nature of bliss and existence. Yadu kevalabodhamātram, that which is of the nature of knowledge. So existence, knowledge, bliss, all the three are explained. Tattvamasi, that Brahman you are. Okay? Now, śarīratadyogatadīyadharmā dyāropaṇaṃ bhrāntivaśāttvayīdam na vastutaḥ kiñcidatastvajastvaṃ mṛtyorbhayaṃ kvāsti tavāsi pūrṇaḥ śarīratadyogatadīyadharmādi āropaṇaṃ bhrāntivaśāttvadīyam na vastutaḥ kiñcittu atah tu ajah tvam atah tu ajah tvam mṛtyorbhayaṃ kvāsti tavāsi pūrṇaḥ. In you, idam, this. What do you refer to as this? śarīratadyogatadīyadharmādi. The body, its association and its attributes. Body, association, attributes. In you, āropaṇaṃ, they are superimposed. In you, the body, association, its association and its attributes, they are all superimposed. Now there is a problem. Wait, don't run into conclusion. Just because āropaṇaṃ word is used, superimposed word is used, don't jump into conclusion. Superimposed. Superimposed, I understand. You don't understand. That is why I am saying. Superimposed means, what is superimposed? That is the primary question in Vedanta. In any philosophy, the world does not understand the philosophy like we have done. We have split hairs in understanding this āropaṇaṃ. Hello? Okay. This is called as khyātivāda. Khyāti means knowledge. Kya prakatane, from root word kya prakatane, khyāti, knowledge. Vāda, the different schools. So the knowledge through different schools. Still, what is that? You see the snake in a rope. Okay? Rope snake, you say. Where did this snake come from? Understanding that snake is what is khyātivāda. The voidist Buddhists, they say, there is no snake. In fact, they don't even accept the rope. There is no rope, there is no snake. But we are not talking about the substratum, we are talking about the superimposition. So there is no snake. Very good. Where did the snake come from? There is no snake. The snake is illusory. Where did it come from? Problem. Keep it up. Other fellow comes and says, no. The snake which you saw in the zoo, the snake which you saw in a book, in a movie, in the forest, that is what you are seeing here. It traveled all the way through the screen into this place. What stupidity. No. So there are different schools accepting different things for the emergence of snake on the rope. What do you, Vedanti, accept? We accept this khyati called anirvachaniya khyati. Nirvachana means explicable. Anirvachaniya means inexplicable. Anirvachaniya khyati, a knowledge which is inexplicable. That is what we accept. Don't understand. Very good. So, what is this snake? That is your question, right? So what is this snake? You ask me, the Vedantin will say, it neither has existence. then does it mean it is non-existent? I am seeing it. I cannot say it is non-existence. Then can we say it is both existence and non-existence? Nowhere can you see darkness and light, existence, non-existence, contradictory things existing in the same place, same time. So it is neither existence nor non-existence. Can we say that? No one has seen anything which is beyond existence and non-existence. What is that then? You are not accepting any of the possibilities. What is it then? Inexplicable. That is what is the point. The snake which you see on the rope is inexplicable. That is why āropaṇaṃ, when I say superimposition, you should not jump guns. Oh, I understand. Superimposition, āropaṇaṃ here means not a superimposition, adhyasita, but a ābhāsita, a shadow existence, a seeming existence. That is how you have to see. So the body, the association, and the attributes, they are all seeming existence in you. Now do you understand? Because if I say it's superimposed, then where is the base for the superimposition? You should have seen something somewhere so that it is superimposed here. That kind of doubt and all will arise. So instead of āropana, I will say adhyasita, ābhāsita. Okay. Now bhranti. Why is it? Why is it superimposed, or why is it seen seemingly? Bhrāntivaśāttvayīdam, because of the erroneous knowledge, the ignorance. Vastutaḥ na kiñcitu. In reality, none of this body, association, or the attributes, none of them exist. Atah tvam ajah. Therefore, you are unborn. Since there is no body, there is no birth. You are unborn. Tava mṛtyorbhayaṃ kvāsti. See, you are unborn. In Gita, Bhagavan says, jātasya hi dhror mṛtyuh. For one who is born, definitely there is death. You are unborn. Therefore, there is no death also. That can be implied. It's easy, right? But unborn. I create a pot, then that unborn thing gets destroyed. So, he says that also does not exist. Na pūrṇaḥ, you are eternal, nitya. You are neither born nor is there an end to you. You are absolute. Therefore, tava mṛtyorbhayaṃ kvāsti. Where is the fear of death for you? Where did the fear of death come from? What is the possibility of the fear of death? Because you are not born. For one who is not born, where can there be death? And you are absolute. Where can you die and go? Only when there is a limitation, you can travel from one place to other. When you are absolute, where can you travel? What is the possibility of traveling? Nothing, nada. So he says, yadyaddṛṣṭaṃ bhrāntimatyā svadṛṣṭyā tattatsamyagvastudṛṣṭyā tvameva tvatto nānyadvastu kiñcittu loke kasmādbhītiste bhavedadvayasya yadyaddṛṣṭaṃ bhrāntimatyā svadṛṣṭyā tattatsamyagvastudṛṣṭyā tvameva tvattah na nānyadvastu kiñcittu loke kasmādbhītiste bhavedadvayasya bhrāntimatyā svadṛṣṭyā. Bhrāntimatyā svadṛṣṭyā. Bhrāntimatyā, not mati buddhi. Bhrāntimatyā, bhrāntimatyā. That which has erroneous error. That which has error. Bhranti means erroneous knowledge. Through the erroneous knowledge, svadṛṣṭyā, your vision, through your vision of erroneous knowledge, yadyaddṛṣṭaṃ, whatever you are perceiving, whatever is perceived through the erroneous knowledge, vision, tattatsamyagvastudṛṣṭyā, all those, whatever you perceive through the erroneous knowledge, all of them through the right knowledge of the reality of the truth. Samyagvastudṛṣṭyā, right knowledge of the self, the truth. Through the right knowledge of the truth, whatever you see as a different from you, tvameva, you are in reality. All that, whatever you see as different, is nothing but yourself. Because there can be no separate existence for the superimposed. There can be no separate existence for the seeming existence. There can be no separate existence for the illusory other than the substratum. Therefore, it is all you, nothing but you. Loke tvattah nānyadvastu kiñcittu na. In the world, there is nothing other than you. There is no other object other than you. There is nothing, no entity, nothing other than you. Advesyate kasmādbhīti bhavedadvayasya. For you, one who is non-dual, where is the possibility of fear? Only when you have a duality, there is fear. In the introduction itself, I explained that whether you are different from God or God is different from you does not really matter. Whichever way. It is not just you are afraid of God. The God will also be afraid of you. Because he is encroaching your space, you are encroaching his space also. You are limiting him. He is not just limiting you. You are also limiting him. He is not where you are. Therefore, he is also afraid. So we say, advayasya, you are non-dual. When there is no duality, dvityādvai bhayam bhavati. The Shruti very clearly says, only when there is duality, there is a fear. Advayasyate. When you are non-dual, kasmādbhīti, where is the possibility of fear? The possibility of fear is like the kid which enters the dark room is afraid of the dark room, of darkness. Similarly, you are afraid of your own existence. Is it possible really? No. But you are afraid because of the superimposed idea of duality. That is why he says, paśyatastvahamevedaṃ sarvam ityātmanākhilam bhayam syādvidushah kasmād swasmāt na bhayamishyate. So, since there is nothing other than self, from where will you be, which will you be afraid of? There is nothing to be afraid of really. So, he says, paśyatah tu ahameva idam sarvam iti atmana akhilam bhayam syāt vidushah kasmāt swasmāt na bhayamishyate. Idam sarvam ahameva iti. All these are me, I. There is nothing other than me, I. Akhilam atmana paśyatah. When one sees everything, the whole world, akhilam, entire thing, everything, all the world, as a atmana, as oneself. When one sees everything as oneself or oneself in everything, then for that vidushah, for that vidvan, for that knowledgeable one, kasmād bhayam syāt. From what will he be afraid? What is the reason for him to be afraid of? See, I may not be afraid of anything, but I may be afraid of myself. Swasmād bhayam na ishyate. No one accepts fear from oneself. We are afraid of others. No one is afraid of oneself. It is impossible. Oneself in the non-dual state, I am afraid I will do something else. Because you have a different personality. You have a duality. So there is fear. That is possible. But when there is non-duality, from what will you be afraid of? No one is afraid of oneself in that sense. Okay? But still, no. This is what it is. There is no one who can be afraid of oneself because there is no duality here. You are one non-dual self. Okay? Tasma, therefore, tasmatam abhayam nityam kevalānanda nishkalam nishkriyam shantam brahmaivasi sadadvayam. Tasmat tvam abhayam nityam kevala ananda lakshanam nishkalam nishkriyam shantam brahmaivasi sada advayam. Tasmat, therefore, tvam sada abhayam. You are always, eternally, absolutely, abhayam, fearless, nityam, eternal. Since you are fearless, only when there is limiter, there is fear. Since you are nityam, eternal, there is no fear. Only, see, in Yoga Sutra, they have a specific term for the fear. Because fear comes from this destruction, fear of death. That is the most dangerous thing. Let me be eternal, like that. That's the desire for everyone. So he says nityam. That fear will also be not possible. Okay, nityam kevala ananda lakshanam. You are of the nature of absolute knowledge. Earlier, kevalabodhamātram. Here, kevala ānandamatram. You are of the nature of absolute bliss. Since you are of the nature of absolute bliss, how can you be nature of the nature of absolute? Because there is no kalanka or there is no kala. Kalanka, impurity. Kala, duality. Parts, limbs. Okay, so neither do you have any impurity, nishkalam, nor do you have any limbs, nishkalam. Both can be interpreted. Nishkalam word can be interpreted in both ways: devoid of impurity and devoid of limbs. Nishkriyam. Since you are not one with limbs, there can be no activity. Only with limbs there can be activity. When there is no limbs, there is no parts, there can be no activity. Atom. In the subset, the center, the smallest part of the atom, the indivisible part of the atom, there can be no activity. Even if you accept activity, does not really matter. Even if you accept the activity there, here nishkriyam, there is no activity. Since there is no activity, it is a shantam. Shanti, the peace, can only exist when there is no activity. Devoid of activity, there can be no disturbance. Therefore, shantam. Advayam. Since there is no, it is absolute peace. It is non-duality. Only in non-duality you can be at peace. We said this, right? Advayam. It is non-dual. Brahmaivasi, that one non-dual self you are. You are not the one which you perceive yourself to be, the duality, the world and all. You are one non-dual absolute self who is the substratum for all these superimposition illusory things. Okay, we'll see this. Om pūrṇamadah pūrṇamidam pūrṇāt pūrṇamudachyate pūrṇasya pūrṇamadāya pūrṇamevāvasishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti.